Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining our webinar. But before we get started, I would like for others to join. Let's have more people in the space, then we'll proceed with the webinar. Thank you so much for joining us again. We'll be officially starting by 11:05. So that's less than 2 minutes from now. Okay, good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Udozo Chimwaya, Communications Executive for Kimberly Ryan, and today I am going to be your host for today's webinar. Before we get started, we would like to share our sincere gratitude for the support. Thank you for joining our March webinar series. Do not forget to stay updated on our offerings and our webinars that are going to be coming up during the course of this year. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. The social media handles will be provided around the comment section. Yeah, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the topic for today, which is building a learning culture for organizational growth in life. Learning is something that is continuous. As a human being, you're going to keep learning. So the objectives for this webinar is, after this webinar, you're going to be able to understand the importance of a learning culture. You're going to be able to identify key challenges in building a learning culture. We're going to be exploring strategies for effective learning programs, and we're going to explain how you measure and sustain learning impact. This is going to be a very insightful session. I urge you all to please mute your mic, get your jotters and your pen, write down your questions, your observation, anything you would like to share with us after or during the course of this webinar. So without further ado, I'm going to be introducing our facilitators. Firstly, Adedayo Olurebi. He is a learning and development specialist with experience in designing and implementing implementing training programs. And Adedayo has worked with top organizations and ensuring their workforce remains equipped with the necessary skills to thrive. Welcome, Adedayo. We can't wait to learn what you have in store for us today in this webinar session. And the next facilitator is Mr. Adewale Fashino. This is not a familiar name anyway. If you've been following us for our webinars, you know Wale is not a foreign name. He's someone that has been in this space for a while. So as you all know, or as most of you that are new here, anyway, Adewale is a driven, optimistic, and ambitious professional with strong people management skills. He has experience, over 8 years of experience in HR. And he's presently a HR consultant at Kimberly Ryan, and where he leads the outsourcing, learning, and development units and manages employees in different sectors. Welcome our facilitators, and without further ado, I'll pass it on to Adewale to kickstart this webinar session. Thank you so much.
Oh, Adedayo. Thank you.
Adedayo, sorry.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. All right. So Good morning once again. It's a pleasure to be here with you today as we discuss something that is critical for any organization that wants to grow, innovate, and stay competitive. So you can see my screen a quote by Toffler. He said that the literate of the future are not those who can't read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I know this is deep, and I know this is deep, and I would like to take one or two people to give us okay, let's just call this like an icebreaker. So just let us know at what point were you able to unlearn, and relearn. At what point were you able to learn, unlearn, and relearn? So let's just take like one or two person before we dive in today's class. All right. Does anybody wants to signify? Does anybody wants to try? At what point were you able to learn something, unlearn, and relearn? Who wants to try? Who wants to go for it? Anybody? 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 At what point were you able to learn? Like you learned something, you had to unlearn it, and then you had to relearn. So yeah, let's really take one person, and then we proceed.
Adele, can I go on?
Okay, yeah, you can.
Okay,
Okay,
so
yes,
I
yes, yes.
believe what this means, okay, he said the interest of the future are not those who can't read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I'll just use life in general to explain this. So I think he's just trying to say life is a continuous learning process. There are some things that maybe when we were growing up, we learned, but as we got to the stage of adulthood, we had to unlearn them because, okay, we saw that these things are not a way to go by or the way things are. So it's a continuous process in life. You're going to learn something, you're going to have to unlearn, and you're going to relearn. So you're always going to be learning as long as you're alive. So that's what I understand by the quote.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Chimoya. Okay, let's move on. All right. So now let's think about these for a moment. Have you ever worked in a place where there was no real investment in learning? Maybe the same old practices were followed, whereby there was little training. People just did what they had always done. So compare this kind of organization that's actively invests in training and development, where employees are encouraged to learn new skills and grow. So yeah, as I was saying, so compare that to an organization that's actively invests in training and development, where employees are encouraged to learn new skills and grow. So the difference is always clear. One stays stagnant while the other thrives. So today we'll explore what it means to have a learning culture, why it matters, and how organizations, especially in Nigeria, can create one that drives business success. So basically, this is what we'll be looking at today. So why a learning culture matters? Enhances employee skills and performance, boosts innovation and problem solving, increases employee retention and satisfaction, helps organizations stay competitive in a changing business landscape. So let's take a look at Nigerian banks, for example, banks like Access Bank, GT Bank, Zenith Bank. They invest heavily in training their employees. So they send their staff for both local and international training programs, ensuring that they stay ahead of industry trend. So that is why these banks are some of the most innovative in Africa. And I know of an organization that have made e-learning an integral part of every employee's KPI. So in this company, employees are required to complete a number of learning hours each month, ensuring continuous development, ensuring a continuous development. So they have a structured system in a way that training is not just encouraged, but mandatory. So line managers and departmental heads closely monitor participation, ensuring that learning isn't just a box to tick, but a real contribution or a real contributor to professional growth. So this approach fosters a culture where upskilling becomes a second nature, where employees know that developing skills is not just is just as important as hitting their performance. All right, please let me know if I'm speaking. Hope I'm not too fast. Yeah. So like on the other end, there are businesses that do not prioritize learning. They don't prioritize learning and they struggle to like adapt. So imagine a supermarket or a retail company that still insists on using only cash transactions and maybe manual record keeping instead of adopting modern POS or other digital platforms. So you can see why like the culture of learning is very, very important. So you can see why the culture of learning is very, very important. So this is why learning culture is very crucial. It helps like business stay relevant, efficient, and competitive. So we have some stats. We have one from Association of Talent Development. We have another one from Association of Talent Development. It says that companies that invest in employee training have 24% higher profit margin than those that do not. McKinsey in 2022 says that building like companies with strong learning cultures are 30% more likely to be market leaders. So Deloitte also says that 70% of executives believe building workforce skills is a priority, but only 10% feel very ready. So these are some of the statistics from this top organization. So yeah. So what are the characteristics of a learning culture? It encourages curiosity and learning. It supports continuous development through formal and informal learning. Values feedback and reflection as tools for growth. It also integrates learning into daily workflows. So, for example, look at Nigerian tech industry, companies like Andela, Waterwave. They thrive because they emphasize continuous learning, and their employees constantly upskill, learning new programming languages, business models, and innovation strategies. So this has made them global players in the fintech and software development. So these are other stats. Start from Bersin by Deloitte. So organizations with strong learning cultures are 46% more likely to be first to market with innovation. And high impact learning culture, more likely to develop innovative products and processes. So 52% more productive. Sorry, let me take that again. 92% are more likely to develop innovative products and processes. 52% more productive. So now we'll be looking at some of the key challenges organizations may face when building a learning culture. So first, resistance to change. So employees and even leadership may be set in their ways, reluctant to adopt to new learning initiatives. We have like time constraints, whereby many employees feel overwhelmed by daily tasks, making it hard to allocate time for continuous learning. So we also have like a lack of leadership. That is if management doesn't actively champion learning. Employees may not see it as a priority. And then there is a budget limitation. That is, training program can be expensive for some companies. So we've seen this where some companies reduce the number of trainings they do in the year because of budgets. And then we have inconsistent learning adoption. So some employees engage in training while others don't. So leading to uneven skill development across teams. So we have some employee in an organization that wants to learn, and we have those that if you don't force them to learn, if not taking them to the water to drink, they won't even bother learning. So we have like this kind of divide. So it's also a challenge. So we have a poorly designed training program. It's also like one of the challenges. So we have training programs that are just too generic, unengaging, or irrelevant training. And this can lead to like low participation and poor retention. So lack of measurable outcome, technological barriers, fear of failures, and high staff turnover. So if employees frequently leave organizations, organizations may struggle to retain knowledge and develop stable learning culture. So basically, these are some of the challenges that we face in our organizations. And despite the fact that we've said one or two things about things you should do, having a learning culture, we can't close our eyes to the fact that there are some challenges that could hinder or that might hinder us from from actually like making it work. So yeah, so we would like to like hear from some of us. I know at the beginning of the class we try to hear from one or two people, and so we'd like to like take maybe two or three people to know. Let's know what challenges do you currently face in your organization. So we'd like to hear from one or two people. So currently, what challenges do you currently face in your organization?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My
Hello,
name is
good
Olushi
morning.
Peters. So, I would just channel the challenge. I'll tailor it to my personal self. At some point in my career, I just felt I was too comfortable in my space. So I realized that I was not really trained. It was just the same old thing I was doing, and I saw the gap that I needed to doing. And personally, I was not even like upskilling myself. I was just all reliant on the organization. But recently I just took up that challenge on myself that I it's high time. It's a personal development. It's my thing. I need to develop it, and started registering. And coincidentally, fortunately, recently I've been doing a lot with Kimberly Ryan, attending most of their webinars. I take it as my personal responsibility, to upskill, improve myself. So at first it was a challenge. I was like, if the organization is not sending me, then it's not important. But I realized that no, I need to take charge of that career space in my life. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Shaib does. So we'd like to take more, like two more people, and then we proceed. The next speaker will be coming in after this. Thank you. Any other comments? All right, David.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to Kimberly Ryan. This just as the first speaker said, I've also been a beneficiary of this webinar. I think this is the third or the fourth I'm attending. Okay. I just quickly want to call our attention. I know maybe what we are really speaking to is learning and development. But I want to call our attention to the first quotes that you brought up, that you have to learn, relearn, and unlearn. I was speaking with somebody some time ago, and I said that there are some organizations you work, you don't need to relearn. I mean, you don't have to unlearn what you know. Maybe during the webinar, maybe one of the speakers may still speak to that, or there will be questions that will bring that up. There are places you may not have to unlearn what you know. What you just need to do is to archive what you know. Then after leaving that place, you go back to what you know, which is the right thing, because I'm sure most of us may, or some of us might have the experience of working in a place where you want to unlearn the right thing, to to do the wrong thing, to learn and be doing the wrong things that you are being um I don't want to use the word forced or coerced to do where you are working. Then it will not be doing you anything good. So there are some, I just want to point out that there are some cases that we don't unlearn, but all you do is to archive what you know. And when you are out of such organization or such system, then you go back to what you know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David. Thank you, David. And should we take one more person? Let's check out. Should we take one more person? Does anybody else want to speak before Adewale Fashionable come? Okay, yeah, it's like that. Messages on the chats box. Okay, sorry. Okay, so Deborah Ogleye is saying, okay, Adetunji said resistance to change, lack of leadership support. And Deborah Ogleye is saying my challenges are kind of much. First, I was employed as an assistant HR. Along the line, they said I will have to work with the admin also. So making it HR admin analyst, but then my HR here has no idea of what HR really meant. Even when the CEO is doing things to favor the staff, the HR will be against it. There's actually nothing I'm learning under, I'm only doing my personal training, but then no way to even practice what I am learning. I feel stuck here. Please, any solution. I really want to grow in this career. Yeah, all right. So I'm sure the next speaker will take this as he comes forward. So then we have Chichi as in, well, what are ways you can use upskilling as a form of staff retention? So this, your questions are being noted. Is there another question that we missed out? All right. Okay, so the next, I'm sure Adewale has taken notes and is going to address this as we move forward. So Adewale, over to you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dayo. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. And trust we are all doing great. So I think I'll just start on the notes of the some of the questions that were asked, and I'll just lend my own voice. Then I'll also ask people within the meeting to if they have other things to add. So I think the first one I will address is what David was saying. So if I hear you correctly, David, I think you might be trying to when you talk about unlearning and relearning, right, and need for you not to unlearn what you've learned. Sometimes this might come when you want to balance between what is your own career growth and the kind of knowledge, skills, KSA, that's skills, knowledge, and ability needed for the particular role that you find yourself. Let me break that down a little more. It's possible that my career goal is to be, let's say, a business leader, right? But at the moment, maybe I'm a salesperson, right? The skills that I need maybe to be the head of business or something might be different from what I need at the moment, right? So I want to believe that's what you mean. That's what you have learned, maybe from where you're coming from. It might not be necessary where you are now, but you don't necessarily have to unlearn it. You can pack it on one side, and when you live there, so that you will be able to imbibe the right knowledge and skills and ability that you need for the current role that you find yourself. So that's one part I want to believe. David, can you please react to that? I don't know if that's the angle you are coming from.
Well, yeah, that is one part of it actually. But the main thing I
Okay.
was trying to speak to is, there are some places where you work, especially in
Yeah.
HR. Just as this the let me see her name, this Deborah Ogunleye. Just
Yeah.
as he said now, this is close to what I'm trying to say. When you are working in a place, even as a manager, but where what you did, okay, you have best practices which is what you have
Yeah.
learned and you know it is right. But you cannot do it, you cannot practice this most times. Your bosses will say, no, this is what you want to be done. So they even when you tell them this is the law, this is the right thing to be doing, this is the best practices, it will be like, no, this. So if you are not somebody who is certain and you know that, yeah, this is the right thing, oh, you too, and you are beginning to feel, okay, just forget it. Okay, let me be doing what my boss wants me to do. Let me do
Yeah.
even not the best practice ahead. So if you are learning those right things that you know that are correct, and you are now learning to do this. So that's why I said just archive what you know, do what they want you to do while you are there, and once you leave, go back and maintain your professionalism.
All right.
But
Thank you
your
very
point,
much.
your point, your point actually is another side to it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And I agree with you. When it comes to best practices, especially we that we are HR people, we deal a lot with compliance, right? So it's important that we don't unlearn the right things to imbibe the wrong things, right? What we can do is to adapt to where we are, but to ensure that we stick to what we know is right. Because, like you said, let me give you an example. If you are working maybe in a smaller organization, maybe a big organization that is more structured before a period, and you start working in an organization that is smaller, that is not structured, there is a high tendency that the smaller organization that is not structured will be bypassing a lot of processes, right? But because of where you are coming from, it's important that you have that back of your mind. But looking at what they really mean from that quote, it's when learning, when the old knowledge that you have might be an hindrance to the new knowledge that you need to imbibe. That's what they mean by you need to unlearn. right? So that means that the old knowledge that you have should not be an hindrance to the new knowledge that you are supposed to imbibe and that is necessary for your job. Oh, thank you. I hope that addresses that and the what is being referred as unlearning in that particular quote. Then I think Deborah was asking a question. I was trying to read through so that I can address the question. Okay, yes. So based on what Deborah is saying, Deborah mentioned um, that she was employed as an HR person, but unfortunately, she's having to do more of admin than HR. So what I can advise is that you don't stop learning and you don't let where you are limit your learning, right? Which means that you should always, like webinars like these are also good forums for you to know what is HR, what is the right process, what is the right things, right? So you won't limit your knowledge to what is being done in the organization. And thank God for the career path that you've chosen, which is HR. We have a lot of forums, a lot of gatherings. We are always meeting here, hang out here and there. So these are very good platforms for you to learn new things while you are still at where you are doing till you get maybe another opportunity in another organization. So that's what I would like to say about that. I don't know if you want to react to that, Deborah. Okay, I think she's not ready. So, okay, so like I mentioned, thank you very much once again, Dayo. So I'll be moving to what I'll be looking at next, talking about. So the next one we're looking at the role of leadership in a learning culture, the role of leadership. And I can read one of the comments that mentioned that one of the challenges with learning is that if leaders don't have a buy-in, that could be a problem, right? So role of leadership in building a learning culture in an organization. Of course, leaders' commitment is important in everything because people watch the person in front to know what to do, right? So it's important that for us, for those of us here that are maybe HR people or L&D managers or training managers in our organization, that we must learn how to bring our leaders, from executives and upwards, bring them into this space as well, where they seek learning as a very important part of the organization. And I can tell you for free, I'm sure you are all aware that when there is a budget cut, the first part that the hammer or the cutlass the cutlass we cut is always learning, always training and development. For those of us that are consultants, we face this every year. Whenever we go to a client's place, okay, we need training. Say, oh, things are hard. We are trying to cut costs. It's always learning, right? Why? Because a lot of times people have placed learning at the bottom of the pyramid, which is not so, because without learning, there's no innovation. So part of the ways for us to do it is another thing we can think of is how dynamic are we when it comes to proposing learning plans for our organization? How dynamic are we? Are we just looking for training and just scheduling training for them? Okay, there's a training going on here, go for this training. There are several ways that we can imbibe a learning culture in an organization. It's not just about going for trainings. It's not just about bringing a facilitator. There are ways you can encourage people to, to learn. Part of it is what we call micro learning. I don't know any of us who is familiar with this. We what we call micro learning and the like. So to get the leader's attention, that means that there's a need for us to move away from always bringing the budgets or the quotes from that we've gotten from Kimberly Ryan or from any other organization. That's always the challenge most of the time. Most of us, what we do is that at the beginning of the year, we shop around and we get the quotes, and then a director or a CEO who maybe at last year you guys did not meet the target. He's looking at the figures or he's looking at his own personal expenses and he's thinking, so if you want me to spend 200 million naira this year on training again, you want to spend 500,000 naira on training again, right? So but what we can do is to look for different dynamic and different ways for us to ensure that training is carried out, not just the normal formal setting like we know. So that's another way for us to get the managers or leaders. Okay, so I think Sheyi is raising his hand. Olusheyi Ogunyemi, please, I would like you to contribute. I think you want to contribute or ask question.
Well, I want to ask a question. I kind of like what you're saying. I feel one of the reasons why leadership could even be resistance to training is when they say that the ROI is not commensurate with the training, because if you want them to really put that in a budget, which of course they need to, they should be able to measure it, that okay, what's the impact of the training, how has it impacted, what's the benefits, so when they are able to see that, and I realize that most people don't even know how to calculate this, I myself, times I struggle to calculate this. Like, I really want to have an in-depth of how to know the impact, which is the ROI. So that could also be a challenge. Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you very much. And like someone said, the people at the top, they only understand one language. What's the language? Naira and Kobo, right? Whether they don't understand sentiments. We at our level, as especially HR people, we understand sentiments. Oh, these people need to go for training. Oh, this person, when there's a problem, the first thing we say is, oh, there's a training need, right? Meanwhile, sometimes it's beyond just training need, right? So it's important. So for the ROI, we will have this, the scope of this particular webinar does not cover that, right? But maybe subsequently, this might be our next webinar that we'll have, or subsequently we have a webinar where we'll actually address ROI and how to calculate it and the impacts on the organization and how it helps in decision making, right? So, but for this one, it might not be covered because it's not part of the scope of this particular webinar that we're having now. But you are right. That one of the challenges is that the people at the top, they only see Naira and Kobo. So when you are coming to them every year with expenses, they keep questioning, where is the change? What's the difference? And also, I don't know if any of us have heard it from our bosses before, that can you be creative? Must we always spend money? Right? They are them telling us that we should not always go the same route, because the one that we did last year, probably they've not seen the results of it. Yeah, thank you. Nkechi is agree with me on the chat, say yes. Okay, so thank you very much. So let's move to the next one. Ada, please move to the next slide. Okay, so we have some stats here. So what we try to do in this particular webinar is to make sure that we have back all we are saying with stats. So we have some statistics here from PwC in 2023 in their future of work and leadership. In the report that they gave, they said 77% of employees stay. Leaders who support learning create a more engaging workforce. Leaders who support learning create a much engaging workforce. And this is so true. Even from my own personal experience as a manager, I realized that for employees that I encourage for them to learn, of course, they feel more, they are happier and they feel more endeared towards me and towards the organization, because now they look at it and say, wow, this organization or this particular leader wants the best. He wants me to improve. He wants me to get better. So this is a given. Then McKinsey in 2023, in the Leadership in Learning Transformation report, they said companies embedding leadership-driven learning see a 23% increase in employee performance, which is a very verifiable fact as well. So let me go to the next one, please. So how do we create effective learning programs? So you see the first point that we have here, it says combining formal training, mentorship, and self-paced learning. Right. The second one says implementing the personalized learning paths based on individual goals. Then the next one here says offer a mix of on-the-job training, workshops, and e-learning. Then use gamification to enhance. Okay, so no, please, can you go back to the last? Can you go back to that one before you leave there? Okay, so if you look at this, so I would like to dwell on this a little and to really break it down, that what does this mean, right? Like I mentioned when I started talking, that a lot of times we have relegated learning or like a training to the formal setting where we call a facilitator and we see that. But we don't realize that it's much more than that. And I'll tell you for free that in some instances, the kind of learning that is necessary for an employee particularly might not be a formal training. It might just be a mentorship program. I have found this myself, even as a manager, right? That in some cases, what an employee needs is not to send them to a training, to send them to a training school. They will go and they will come back the same. So the onus is on us as a training specialists to be able to identify that which of this training, which of this kind of learning is necessary for this employee. Is it the case where is on-the-job training that is necessary? Is it a mentorship program that will pass the message, or is it self-paced learning, so that we are not putting the round peg in the square hole, right? And also, we can also embed learning in our day-to-day activities. Let me give you an example now. Let's assume I'm working with some of my team members, and I told them that, okay, please let me prepare this report. I can decide to add to it that, okay, before you prepare this report, write I mean, they might not like it at first, but they will understand later. Okay, I would like to prepare this special report for this client that will be a maybe end of the year report for the job we did for them throughout this year 2025. Please, but before you prepare it, can you please do a research on how end of the year reports are done? Do you know that by the time he or she does that research, she has learned something? There's something new that he or she has learned that he or she does not know before, right? Which is that now he or she has gone to read, has gone to maybe search, check AI tools and come up with a report. And I told, maybe I will tell them, before you even submit to me, I would like you to present this, your research work to me. We do it a lot in my own unit here, where we do like a presentation. Everybody does presentation. Come and present it to us. So the person stands in front of all of us. He presents to us on how to write end of the year reports, whether you like it or not. He or she has learned something new. But what did I do? I embedded that training in the work that she's supposed to do for me, because I said, before you write this report for me, do a research and do presentation on this, right? I've not sent him or her to maybe a business school or to a training school to go and learn how to write reports, but I've allowed him or her to learn on the job. Right, that's another way to learn. Another way to do it is gamification, right? This might work in organizations that that maybe they are larger, right? And how does this work? Gamification basically means having the, how will I put it now? I'm looking for the right word to use. When you talk about gamification, the elements that make up a game, right? What are the elements that make up a game? Number one is fun. Number two is competition. We know games are about competition, right? You must win, you must lose. So what you can do is that, okay, in this of my unit, in this my organization, we will have a leaders board, right? For this kind of particular kind of learning, we want to have a leaders board. We want to train ourselves on maybe, let's say, communication skills, right? So we have the leaders board, and then we'll have metrics to measure your improvements. So every point in time, we display it during maybe our monthly meeting or our bi-monthly meeting or our general meeting. Then we say, oh, Mr. Kazim is the best so far. You'll be shocked at how much people will work once they know that there's a leaders board. People like competition. People move when there's competition. So these are ways we can embed learning. People will be forced to go and learn because they know that there is a prize ahead, right? And there's also competition involved, right? Of course, there's a downside to competition because it can lead to unhealthy relationships between people. But that's now where we have to guide and put proper proper context to it, so that we don't build a very chaotic or negative workplace. So these are some of the places that we can embed learning. You'll be shocked that by the time you send a proposal to management and you tell them that, okay, this year for our learning programs, I'm not just sending you the training costs, right? I'm going to give you a training plan, a proper training plan, or let me call it a learning plan. Maybe that would make more sense to us. A learning plan. And in my learning plan, I have the formal training. We will send Mr. A to this, we'll send Mr. B to this, but also we'll have this as well. Right? We have the leaders board for learning. We have this, we ensure that every manager will embed training in their day-to-day tasks. Right? You'll be shocked that they will look at you as, oh, this HR person or this training person is a very fantastic person. It makes it easier for them to approve your budget. But if all you do every year in, year out is just to bring up budgets and just drop a deal, trust me, year in, year out again, you'll be meeting with excuses. I don't know if anybody wants to react to this before I can see Kofo Rola message. He said very correct. So does anybody want to react? You can unmute your mic if you like to react to what I just said. Anybody that wants to react to this? Maybe a question, or you want to agree, or in fact, even if you want to disagree, right? I would like to know. Okay, it seems there is nobody. Okay, another person has said very true. That's Bubu Akomas. He or she said very true on the chat. Thank you very much. So Dayo, can we go to the next slide? So again, let's just look at statistics that speak to some of this. Companies that don't prioritize training experience 37% higher turnover rates. That's the Gallup research. Then Gartner said here that personalized learning paths improve workforce performance by 25%. So this is another part I think I need to also dwell on a little. Personalized learning. What does personalized learning mean? Personalized learning might not be easy at the level of the HR. Why? Because you are overseeing the whole organization. It's easier at the level of managers or team leads. But the work of the HR or the learning expert in the organization is to educate the managers or team lead to identify the need of each person. An example is this: in my organization or in my unit, we work a lot with Excel. We do send emails a lot. We do a lot at that level, right? The HR might not be able to do anything at that because he or she is not seeing our reports. But I, as the manager of the department, I see the report. I see that this person she doesn't know how to write reports. This person does not know how to use Excel. So personalized learning means that I have identified that Mr. A does not know how to use Excel. Mr. B might be an expert in Excel. So I won't do an Excel training at the same level for my department. I will sit down with A and say, A, please, you sit down with B to teach B how to use Excel. B, the problem I notice is that she doesn't know how to write reports. Her report does not have flow, does not have a flow every time, right? I will sit down with him or her and I will say, okay, come here. This is how to write a report. Then that's a personalized learning path. But like I said, from the HR level, it might be difficult, right? Because we are seeing a broader view. But it's easier at the manager or team lead level. But the onus is on us as HR professionals or as learning professionals or learning specialists to guide the leaders on how to go about it so that they don't just carry everybody together, what we call the halo effect. Oh, everybody in my department needs to learn Excel. No, not everybody in your department needs to learn Excel. Some people in your department are very good with Excel, they have trained themselves. So we have to teach them how to identify the learning needs of each person, or let me say a cluster, depending on how big the organization is, a cluster of people within the organization. So next one, next slide. So learning technology for leveraging technology for learning. Interestingly, I think I've said this in one of the webinars that I've also taken, that I personally, I've become an enthusiast of AI. I went for a conference, I attended a conference, a virtual conference, an international conference, I mean, global conference. And that was sometime last year, I think around August last year. And that was when AI was just becoming a thing in Nigeria. And I had top HR people from these top organizations saying that the organizations have started embedding HR tools into their normal work tools. And I became curious. And one of them said that they realized that AI tools help their work to be faster. And they have to do it because their competitors are already doing the same. And it drove my curiosity that, okay, how do we do this? And that brings me to how we can leverage AI for learning, right? Whether we like it or not, right? You might be fighting AI as much as you want to fight it, right? It's only a matter of time. Whether you like it or not, this has come to stay, right? We might not like it. We might think it makes people lazy, it makes people this or that, but it has come to stay. So how you now embed into your learning is what now matters. How you make sure that your people are not just using AI from the point of view of garbage in, garbage out, to the point of view of AI garbage in, learn the garbage before garbage out. That's where your own work now comes in. And that's where the work of presentation comes in. Right? You have used AI, no problem. In fact, you'll be shocked. My department, my own unit, I always encourage my people to use it, right? But the point is that after you have used it, we will do presentation. So that knowledge that you have acquired from there will be assessed. Right? So we have leveraged AI to do our work, to learn, to get new ideas, things that we don't know. But then we have created a structure to ensure that that learning actually took place, and you are not just putting garbage in and garbage out. Right? And of course, technology is also good for collaboration. You might not be in, how would I say now? You might not be in Nigeria at the moment, you might be anywhere. You can be doing Zoom call with your team and be teaching them one thing or the other. You can also leverage your colleagues that you know that are good in the industry to teach some of your colleagues in the office. Maybe accounting. I mean, this is why technology has come. You don't have to bring a facilitator. Maybe you have a friend who is an accountant who is very good, and you have a colleague who is an accountant who is struggling. You can always leverage on Zoom, on Google Meet, on Microsoft Teams, and all these other things. And of course, there are so many elements now. There's hardly anything that we want to learn that we can learn. And do you know that one of the things I figured out recently is that YouTube is a very powerful tool. There's hardly anything that you want to do that you will not find a video on YouTube, especially by Indians, right? There's nothing that you want to learn. Yesterday, I was trying to do something on Excel. I was working on a report, so I was trying to get something. What did I do? I just went to YouTube. How can I? So it's what we call micro learning, right? It's small. It's just a part of my work, just to know how to apply a formula in Excel. And there is a video that addresses just that part alone. So that's micro learning, learning in small bits. Like instead of learning the whole accounting, I just want to learn about, just go on YouTube or any of these other platforms. You will see someone that has done a video, or someone that has written an article, or someone that has done something or something about it. So technology is a very powerful tool in learning. Next one, please. So still about 36, right? Deloitte here says 74% of companies investing in AI-driven learning solutions report improved engagement and upskilling, right? And trust me, this is just the beginning. Because what AI has done for us is that he has brought the bars, he has equalized the bars in a way, right? That even someone that knows something years ago, someone that just started today, in a way, the person has the chance to learn it. But unfortunately, a lot of people are misusing AI by just using it as a tool to work. They are not using it as a tool to learn. So that's why we as HR people must teach people in our organizations that AI should be a tool to learn. After you have input all these things, it's important that you actually learn and you don't just use it as a tool to get your task done. Next slide. So measuring the impact of learning, like I mentioned earlier, when someone asked the question that we'll probably have a session in the course of the year when we talk about driving the measuring the high ROI, right? Because I know it's something that is very dear to us as learning professionals or HR people, right? We'll look at it, but just a snippet here. So measuring the impact of learning. So of course, tracking employee performance improvements after training, that's post-training, assessing engagement through learning completion rates. I mean, that's a very important one as well. Using of feedback surveys to refine training programs, link learning outcome to business performance metric. So I think what I can say here is that even from our desk, before we send people for training, we must first identify how that training needs that we have identified actually linked to their job, right? What I've seen a lot of times, because I'm on the side of the consultants, right? So I see a lot from HR people or learning people from the industry, right? When they want to send people for training. So what I've discovered is that a lot of times, even when we send people for training, we only gather the trainings assessment or we reach out to managers and we just gather the documents and say, okay, we are sending this people for this training. We don't actually ask the manager for that question that this training now, how does it actually lead? How does it actually link to particular tasks that this person does, right? Because that is how we can measure it. If we are not able to link it particularly to this task A or task B, or assignment A or assignment B that this person or this other person does, when they come back from the training, we will have the same struggle in identifying how it impacts their job. All right, next slide, Ayo. So quick stats here. LinkedIn Learning report say 94% of employees will stay at companies longer if it invests in their career development. Yes, that is very true. Next slide. So I think lastly, overcoming barriers to learning. Number one is time constraints, which is why I said that we have to be realistic. I remember at the boom of when the old what do you call it just started then, all these LMS platforms then, organizations will just wake up one morning, they just say, okay, everybody, yeah, go on Coursera now. Make sure you did 3 courses on Coursera. But I don't know any of us who are in such organizations where they say, and at the end of the day, nobody will do the course, or only 1% out of 10 people, right? Because we just tell them to do it. And where is the time to do it? They are expected to do it after. They're to do this after they've left work. So someone has stayed at work from 9 to 5, gets to get home by 6 and to start opening Coursera, right? So time constraint, but we have to find like all the options I've mentioned earlier, integrating learning into our workflow, like what I've said earlier. Then resistance to change, communicate the benefits clearly to employees and even the managers. And what does this mean? It means letting them know how we affect their own career path, not just their job. A lot of time what we tell employees is how the training will affect their job, but the employee is looking at you that I have a career apart from this job, right? And this training does not have any impact on my career. So we have to be able to differentiate both, right? We want them to learn to impact their job, which is why they are being paid salary. But let's remember that behind that job is someone who has a career, who has a goal. So our ability to link this again, to let them see that this will also benefit them in terms of their career is also very important. So some of the challenges is also limited budgets. That's why I said we have to look for different ways to get it done. Then lack of leadership support. We've talked about this earlier, how to get support from leadership. Then next slide. Then in conclusion, let's look at this quote from Henry Ford. He said, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. Let me read it again. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or at 80 years old. Who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. I can tell you this for free, that the best thing we can do for ourselves is to make sure that we are always learning. I had as I closed, I had the meeting with one of my mentors who is over 50, 55, over 55, I think she's 55 now. We were discussing just a few weeks ago. And she told me, said, Wale, oh, have you started doing, how do you do this, CPA? That's affiliate marketing. I said, I know about it now. I said, I know about it. I said, okay, please, Wale, have you heard about crypto? Crypto. I look at that, ma, crypto, you know about it? She said, yeah, I just saw it online. I said, let me even check. And I think I like it. I mean, what I picked from her is that even though she's 55, she's curious. She wants to know what it is, and that's how it should be for us. And for us that will be driving the learning organization, we must be the ambassador by first being learners. I always tell my team, one of the things that's helped me and what I do a lot, I read a lot of articles. I read a lot when it comes to McKinsey reports, PwC reports. What do you call Gartner? I'm always reading. I'm always trying to check what's happening in HR world, what's happening in leadership world, what's happening. Because when I face my colleagues, I'm able to tell them and encourage them because I'm doing the same, right? So we are the drivers of learning organization. We must first be the chief learners within the organization. So with these very few points of mine, I hope I've been able to convincingly convince you and not confuse you in any way that it's important that we learn. So we'll be taking, thank you for the clap, Oluseyi. Even me, I'm clapping for myself too. So thank you. So I would like to take questions, answers, or maybe any other thing that just struck you that I'd just like to mention in the course of this session. And like I promised, I think it was Oluseyi that was speaking earlier, that we'll definitely have a session where we'll talk about ROI on learning, because I know it's there to us so that we can have, I'll be able to present that to our management every time. So also, while we are waiting for people to come up with questions and contributions, let's check the chat box. I think the evaluation form has been dropped there, and also our social media pages are already there. We can also check to follow Kimberly Ryan on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and on different platforms as well. So I will be taking anybody that would like to ask questions or contribution or feedback. Anybody, please, you can go ahead. I'm waiting. They've said that when nobody talk after your class, it's either of two things. Either you're a very good teacher, you have taught and everybody understood, or you're a very bad teacher and nobody understood what you have said. So let me believe that I'm not a bad teacher, as it were. But I will really be encouraged if one or two people can. Okay, I can see comments, right? As an eye opener, it's very insightful and clear. Thank you very much. I can see like different comments. Thank you so much. But I would like someone to talk. I don't know. I think a question dropped. I think I saw a question at one point. Let me check the chat box. Someone said,
So can I go ahead and say something?
oh, please go ahead. Yes, thank you.
All right. So thank you very much, Adewale Fashina. It was really an insightful session. I did enjoy it myself. I honestly didn't intend to stay to the end because I'm in the middle of a training. So I just thought, okay, let me just bump in, see how it goes. But I'm surprised. I was hooked till the end. So meaning that you did deliver the session very well, and I must commend you for that. So I think one of the cues that I'm taking from you is I see the way I'm a learning and development personnel in my organization, and I see the way you deliver the class. I'm more enthusiastic about it, that I also need to, make reference. I see the way you're referring to McKinsey, PwC. These are organizations I look to, and I think I need to also go back and still do more work, do the work. You understand? So I kind of like this, and I'll just good and taking a cue from it, and I definitely knew I need to.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the comments. So please, let's the feedback form has been dropped on the chat. Please let's fill the feedback form and also follow us on our social media platform. But I think I just checked the chat box now. I saw a question earlier by Unki Ruka. Yeah, so she asked the question. She asks, how do you address a case where the management is willing to sponsor trainings, but the employees have no desire or zeal to learn? Let me read it again. How do you address a case where the management is willing to sponsor trainings, but the employees have no desire or zeal to learn? So just to address it, because I'll go back to one of the things I said, right? People behind that person that you want to train, I'm sure management is ready to sponsor trainings that address the current job that they are doing. Most of the time, that's the case, and which is rightfully so. Why am I paying you salary and training you? But behind that person doing the job is a person as well who has a career focus, right? That's number one. So ability for us as HR managers either to sit with them or in larger organizations to help managers or team leads to sit with the employees to let them see the reason for this training and let them see the link between the training and their career pursuit or their career growth. That's what will determine the success of the training. Because trust me, people can go for training, spend 3 days, spend 4 days, and come back and learn nothing. Only enjoy the rice and chicken. You know, training always have rice and chicken and fish and tea break. I mean, all of us, we know now, we always enjoy it, especially with the training specialists. When we go to go and coordinate, we get special package, right? So this is very, very important, right? For them to see this. Another thing you can look at is also that there are other underlying factors, issues in the organization. For example, someone that the salary is already complaining about salary is earning 50,000 where the colleagues are supposed to be, where he feels he should be earning more, and you are sending for training. That employee is not seeing himself long term in that organization, so you might just be wasting your money. So some issues are not training issues. Like I said, some issues, not every challenge is a training challenge. Not every not every work related challenge is a learning challenge. There are challenges at work that are not training challenge, that we need to identify what exactly is the challenge, right? Okay, so quickly, we have another question here. Someone said, okay, that's Aminat. Yeah, she asked the question. You mentioned that training, learning, and development is usually show up to the bottom of budget. Is it advisable for a young professional to specialize in that area career-wise? All right, I think I see where you're coming from, because I said that whenever there is a budget constraint, the first place that is hammered is the training. So she's asking here that is it advisable for someone that is just starting their career in HR, or maybe generally to start from learning? I think it doesn't affect that. I think it's whether we like it or not, even as much as organizations try to put training at the bottom, they often realize later that training is important because it's something that you cannot take away, right? And I would also like to point out that even in organizations now, unlike before, training is always resident with the HR manager, but a lot of organizations now have learning specialists or L&D managers, or they have different ways now. So, and good thing also is that you could pick it from two angles, either from the angle of the consulting angle, which is where I sit, and Dayo as well that spoke earlier, or from the learning specialist in organization. So it's a career path that I believe that nothing will change, just that the way we approach it might need to change, right? We might need to approach it differently by leveraging technology and moving away from the normal way that we've been doing things, which is just, how would I put it now? Just a facilitator coming to train. So as a specialist, you have to now start thinking what's the new trend that is happening in the in the space, and then you can now adjust accordingly. Okay, Temitope, I think I can get feedback from you. Can you please mute your mic, please? Sorry, I am about to close the session, but questions keep coming in. Okay, someone asks, should we encourage training bonds? This has been identified as one reason employees don't want to attend training, especially international training. Okay, this is a table that, like you say, a table that is difficult to shake, right? Training bonds, for those of us that don't know, training bonds are the agreements that are signed between an organization and an employee when they are sending him to a training that says that you should stay in the organization for 3 years after this training. It's used especially for technical trainings, right? Not for soft skill training. Because that means that if I'm training you how to use advanced Excel, I expect you not to leave the organization for 2 or 3 years. That's what training bonds mean for those of us that might not be aware of this. So Bubu is asking us that, should we encourage it? Well, it's a bit dicey. And another thing we can ask, a question we need to ask ourselves, is it ethical? Right? Is it ethical? If we feel it's ethical, because there's really no regulation to this at the moment. So if it's ethical, we now have to sit down with the employee and discuss. Because like you said, a lot of employees will not want to go for trainings if they know that bond, but some don't mind. right? But some mind. So I mean, that might be a case, that might be a one-on-one case. And if you can reach out to Kimberly Ryan, we can have a conversation for this. If you have a specific question, maybe a specific case at hand, then we can advise you on what to do. Yeah, someone said it is also possible that training the management is willing to send the employee to is in contrast with their career path. Yes, exactly. David, thank you very much for that. And I think, okay, there's a question here. Okay, can we get your slides, sir? Yes, there will be slides. Yes, after this, Dio will be sharing that with us. Then can we have the link to this training sent to us? Yes. If I hear you correctly, Olufunke, you might need the recording, right? We will share the recording with you alongside the slide so you can watch it again after this session. Thank you very much, everyone. I want to believe that's all. Okay, yes, Olufunke, yes, you'll get the recording, the link to the recording, and also the slide as well. Yes, so please, and also to after this as well, we will also reach out to you in case so what we decide we'll do also is that we have a restricted one session where we consult for you in case you have any specific HR issue. You might not be learning, just one session, right? That will send a mail to us for those of us specific issue that you have. We just in one-off session just to consult any particular area, HR area that you might need help, right? Just one-off consulting that you do that for us, then we will reach out to you on that. Then lastly, we have a session coming up in June. It's called Strategic HR Leadership Program that is designed specifically for HR people and is very strategic in nature. It's going to be coming up in June at Radisson at VI here. So we will get a mail from us with the brochure and the flyer as well. And it's not so expensive. It's just 400,000 naira per participant. It's a 3 days, but it's very intensive. A 3 days program at Radisson here in VI. It's 400,000, but for early bird, for those of us that can register as soon as possible, just 350. And for us that want more than one person in an organization, 3 of us in our organization is ₦1 million for 3 of us, 400 naira per person. But we're having early bird, we are still on early bird now, which gives us 350,000 naira. So it's called Strategic HR Leadership Program. It's very, very, trust me, when we'll share the brochure with you so that you can see what the content is. It's very rich. And it's just 400,000 naira, and we'll be coming up in June at Radisson in VIA. So please, when we share the documents, let's take a look at the documents, and then we can join us. You can join us for the like I said, the early bird is here on, which is 350,000 naira per participant. A group of 3 is 1 million naira. So if you are 3 in your organizations, you can always apply. It's going to happen June this year. All right. Thank you very much. I think that will be all from my end. Chimaya, I don't know if you are there. If you are still there, if you'd like to close the session.
Yes, I am.
So thank you very much, everyone. All right, Chimaya. Yeah, over to you now.
Thank you so much, Wole. I have to say the session was very, very insightful. I learned a lot of things, especially about the micro learning that you spoke about. I'm actually going to really look into that. Thank you so much, Dio. Thank you so much, Wole. So as Adewale has said earlier, our social media platforms are already provided on the comment section so that you can stay tuned on the program, which is coming up in June. So feel free to register from our website. I'm still going to put our website on the comment section. Thank you all so much for joining this session, and we hope to see you in our April webinar. Thank you so much, guys. If you still have questions, you can leave them in the comments. I will send them to Adewale. Thank you so much once again.
All right, sorry, before you go, the feedback form has been sent to you. So please just kindly click on the link. So we need our feedback. The feedback would improve our webinar in coming months. So please just fill it. So once you've done that, you can just come back here and then type that you have filled the form. So please, before you log off, just use the link to proceed. And then you can as well see the link, just as Timaya said, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So please, after filling the feedback form, it's just 2 or 3 questions. It won't take much of your time. So just fill that feedback. Is very, 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 very important to us. So just fill it, and then you can just type in here, I have filled it, I'm done, and then you log off. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aminat. Aminat has just filled the form. So we need more people to keep it coming. Let us know that you filled the form. You filled it, you filled it, you filled it. Yeah. Thank you, Aminat. So we need more. We need more people to fill. Thank you. Thank you, Aminat, once again. So please fill the form. So the form is on the chat box. So just if you want to access, just use the chat box to access it. Click on the link, fill, and then drop a feedback that has been filled, and then you can log off the call. All right. Thank you, Fortune. Oh, repost the form. All right. So the form will be reposted. I think I have just done that. Okay, yeah, it has been done. It has been done. Hey, David Oladipupo, thank you for filling the form. We still have like 26 people on this form, and we have just 2 responses. So please fill the form and let us know that you've done that, and then you can log off. Oh, Olufunke Dada, thank you. It's done. Thank you, Olufunke Dada. Thank you, Olufunke Dada. All right, thank you, Fortune. Thank you, Inkuruka. Thank you, Biagali. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Bubu. Yeah, thank you, Bubu. Yeah. So yeah, so once you've done that, you can then log off. So we're still here in case you've not done so. Your feedback is very, very important to us. That's why we're still, we're still here. We want to hear from you. Yeah, Hogan, thank you. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your feedback, Hogan. Okay, so thank you, Bubu. Thank you, Ogan. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you, Inkuruka. Thank you, Fortune. Thank you, Olofunke Dada. Thank you, David Oladipupo. Thank you, Aminat. Yes, so these are the responses we've had so far. So if you're still on the call, you can just scroll up a little bit because you would see the form. So use the form to still use the link to access the form and drop your feedback. Afterwards, you can log off. Okay, yeah, the link has been dropped again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, Temitope Fadare, I don't think I've seen your response. Okay, Deborah Guleye, thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Deborah. All right, so yes, I'll be going now. Thank you for joining. See you in our next webinar. Have a great day.